This NFL offseason is looking to be one of the craziest in history. It's normal to see players moving from team to team, but when you have someone like Tom Brady leaving the Patriots, you know this offseason is going to be different. One of the biggest stories surrounding offseason moves in the NFL is none other than LeVeon Bell. Obviously, a lot of controversy was surrounding his name over the last year when he held out the entire 2018 season waiting for the contract he felt he deserved, which led him to switch organizations from the Steelers to the Jets this year. But it looks like once again he's on the move. After he signed a $52 million deal with New York earlier this year, many criticized this move because of LeVeon purposely going to a losing Jets team that had no shot at contention in the upcoming year. And because of this team being significantly worse than the Pittsburgh team he was a part of, his numbers are the lowest they've been in years. But leading into this year's trade deadline, the Jets in fact began shopping Bell around, and many teams were interested. LeVeon himself actually addressed all of the rumors on Uninterrupted 17 Weeks podcast, recently saying there was a lot of trade speculations and rumors about, me getting traded obviously from the Jets to other multiple teams, and they were actually true. There were times when I found out through my agent he had talked to the Jets, and there were other teams like Houston, the Packers, Kansas City, and surprisingly the Pittsburgh Steelers were all in the mix trying to trade for me. The Jets were really asking for a high price and a lot for me. On top of that, my actual contract was kind of tough for teams to deal with, which is understandable. Not too many teams want to pay that high of a price for a running back. A reporter for Sports Illustrated recently reported that the Jets are more willing to accept trade offers now than they were at the end of the season, and are actually looking to make a big trade happen with LeVeon and his teammate Jamal Adams as a package deal. The team leading the charge for trying to land LeVeon is the Dallas Cowboys, who have been working out contracts with their biggest stars and still haven't reached an agreement with Dak Prescott, leaving the door open for the Cowboys to pay LeVeon what he believes he deserves. With Nick Foles leading the Eagles to a Super Bowl win in 2017, his stock had risen tremendously since then, and is the reason why a few teams have Foles on their radar. Just 1 year after signing a 4-year $88 million deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Nick Foles could be on his way out. Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported that word is the Jags want to go with Gardner Minshew as their starting QB, and ideally find a trade partner for Foles. There are a handful of teams in the NFL that would love to have a quarterback like Nick Foles, like the Dolphins, who have struggled to find a winning quarterback since Dan Marino, and has once again put their trust into Ryan Fitzpatrick, who hasn't been able to get the job done. Another leading candidate is the Bengals, who didn't get their first win till week 13 of the regular season, and has been trying to separate from Andy Dalton for years now. The final leading candidate for landing Nick Foles is none other than the Colts, who just lost their best player in Andrew Luck, who at last minute decided to retire. The Colts are clearly in rebuilding mode, so bringing in a former Super Bowl leading quarterback could be the piece they need to win more games. Over the last few months, another huge name that many have expected to be dealt away has been Cam Newton, as many teams around the league have seen what's come of his situation in Carolina, with Cam becoming a pretty consistent quarterback throughout his career. Over 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns has what we've grown to expect from a player like him, but this year has been a different type of season for him than the last 8 years. Cam missed a significant amount of time, playing just 2 games this year after suffering a foot injury. Now, solely based on the fact of his injury history, this is the main factor in Carolina's trade decision, as they become more comfortable in trading his huge contract to another team and starting fresh. But during this time that Newton's been out, Kyle Allen has had his time to shine with Carolina as the starting QB, and some analysts believe with the performances he's put up, he in fact could become the face of their franchise. Now, with that being said, Cam's helped out tremendously despite being inactive, but has continued to assist the team regardless, and Allen even talked about this, saying right now he's acting as a coach. He's acting as a guy who's seen a lot in this league over the past 9 years. And I think you can see that's the overall theme every week. We just want to win. And whatever anyone can do on this team, whatever position they're in, they're gonna do it. And Cam's no different in that. So he's been really good in all phases. With Cam set to become a free agent in 2021, many teams around the league realize this situation for what it really is. And that's the fact that the Panthers look to be moving on with a new future. With Newton suffering injuries for years now, many feel it's made Carolina want to take things in a different direction, seeing as they're doing better with their young quarterback instead. But regardless of the perception, many teams around the league have shown significant interest in Cam because of his winning mentality and consistent numbers. Stephen A. Smith recently brought up this situation on First Take and felt there's one team in particular that should jump on this trade as soon as possible. He said, "The Panthers are flowing without Cam Newton, and I got news for you. I think there's somebody else that needs Cam Newton more desperately than the Carolina Panthers. You know who I think that team is? It's the Chicago Bears. I think that the Chicago Bears should trade for Cam Newton. They need somebody with that moxie. They need somebody with that athletic ability. They need somebody with heart. They don't need somebody that's still recovering from being booed on draft night or shortly thereafter when he went to the United Center in Chicago. Mitchell Trubisky, the number 2 overall pick, was soundly booed by the crowd there because he's not who they wanted. They wanted a Deshaun Watson. You got a guy that's still trying to prove himself and recover from all of that. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Mr. Trubisky. I'm just calling it like I see it. The mental makeup that he seems to have does not seem to be made for Chicago. I think somebody like Cam would be better. I think he needs a fresh start. I think Carolina already has it with Kyle Allen. You roll with that. I would trade Cam Newton to the Chicago Bears." With Odell Beckham Jr. having the worst season of his career, he's looking to join a team that will use him to its full potential. Now, despite this past year being a down year for OBJ, many realize it's solely based on the situation he's playing in for an inexperienced team that really didn't have championship aspirations heading into this season. But with that being said, many contenders will gladly make a run at him sooner than later. The Patriots just lost 2-star receivers in Antonio Brown and Josh Gordon. Obviously, even with that going down, the team has a great supporting cast around Brady if he plans on staying with the team. Years ago, the Patriots were already trying to make a run at OBJ while he was with the Giants, so it's no surprise they have significant interest once again. Odell actually addressed these trade rumors recently, and he even said 2-3 years ago, there was a whole speculation and all that was going on, and I was willing and ready to go over there at any point in time. That was always a dream of mine, to play for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. But Odell's continued to praise this organization over the years, despite never playing there, which made it very clear where he'd like to end up. He gave high praise towards Tom Brady, especially when he said, like I say, Tom Brady is the GOAT. I know we've done some GOAT cloning, and I think there's something going on. He's not human the way he's playing the way he's still playing. He's mentally prepared every single game, decisive decisions. He knows how to manage a game. He plays offense and defense with the way that he plays. He's very smart. He's the best to ever do it. I don't think anybody can really argue it. He's just the greatest, and I definitely want some of the water that he's drinking. Hopefully that's what everyone, I know for me as well, we are all inspired to be like. And Odell even gave high praise towards the legendary coach Belichick as well, when he said, "He's a coach that I've looked at for the longest time, and I have a love-hate relationship with him because they've beaten every and any team I've ever wanted to win the Super Bowl. The only team I've ever followed was the Rams, when they were the greatest show on turf, and I was like, the team that I was watching as a kid, loved them so I was rooting for them, and going against Bill Belichick, this is somebody that I have much respect for." Another team interested in Odell is the Green Bay Packers, who could definitely benefit from Odell's ability. The easy thing about the Packers is that they don't need to be convinced twice about landing OBJ, and considering Aaron Rodgers has struggled with passing options his entire career. Another leading factor in Odell coming to the Packers is that they just fell short of the Super Bowl after losing to the 49ers, and their impressive defense, which could easily be broken down if Rodgers had more passing options than just Davante Adams. Although Rodgers and Adams connected plenty of times since Adams joined the Packers, Adams has been covered by the best corner on the opposing team or often double covered. If Odell joins the Packers, it would free up one receiver, which would give one of the best QBs in the league a chance to make insane plays. With Tom Brady channeling his inner Kobe Bryant and staying with the team that drafted him throughout his entire career, things have been rumored for quite some time that Brady heading to another organization isn't unrealistic. From the outside looking in, it seems like Brady and Coach Belichick have a father-son-like relationship, but that's far from the truth. Just like Aaron Rodgers did behind the great Brett Favre, Jimmy Garoppolo sat behind Brady for years and adopted his game, which is why when it came to get rid of either Brady or Jimmy, Belichick pushed to keep the young gun and ship out the old. Although the Patriots stuck with their franchise QB, Belichick wasn't happy, and ever since, they've listened to trade rumors surrounding Brady. One of the biggest offseason moves that could be made, which would shock the league, is actually a trade involving the Patriots and the 49ers. Oddly enough, those two two teams already made a deal which sent Garoppolo to the 49ers. The 49ers made it to the Super Bowl this past season due to their intense running game, but when it came time for Jimmy G to step up, the 49ers lost their chance at a ring. The Chiefs ended up handling the 49ers in the Super Bowl, so to say that if the 49ers had Brady they would have won is an understatement. We already know Coach Bill Belichick wants Jimmy more than Brady, as he has admitted to it in the past, so don't be surprised when you see Jimmy back with the team that got him on his feet and Brady in the Bay Area. Although Brady has repped the Patriots for as long as anyone can remember, he recently spoke about trade rumors, and he said that although many great players have stayed with one team, even the all-time greats switched teams, like Michael Jordan heading to the Wizards, Brett Favre going to the Jets and Vikings, as well as Randy Moss playing for many teams. But Brady finished his comments by saying, "This is sports, so whatever happens, happens." Jimmy Garoppolo has even recently called himself better than Brady, which almost seems like he is missing out on what he could have accomplished as a Patriot. Jimmy sat down with Bleacher Report when he was asked if he thought he was better than Brady, and Jimmy said, "I've always had that mindset. I knew that Brady was better than me on my first day in the NFL. Naturally, you're the rookie and he's the veteran, but you have to have that mindset that you want to be the starter. Even when I was a little kid, my brothers, whenever we would play, I would literally always think I was going to win. I wouldn't, but I would always think that. It's like when I go to New England. When I first got there, I thought in my head, I'm better than this dude."